Hi, everybody. Jeff Say, President and CEO of the Culpeper Chamber of Commerce, and welcome to our Young Professionals Luncheon on hiring and interviewing practices. We have three professionals with us that work in this field every day, and they're going to share some of their insights with us as we ask some questions to help you as you're looking for a job or if you're looking to hire someone. And we're going to start with Jackie Knupp. Jackie, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Jackie Knupp. I work for the Department for Aging and Rehabilitative Services as a job placement counselor. We serve the 5 counties here, and I work with employers to find out their needs and connect them with our consumers.
Andrew.
Hi, my name is Andrew DiNicola. I'm the Adult Services and Outreach Coordinator for Culpeper County Library. I enjoy matching people up with the right resources in the library systems to be able to find jobs, education, and the like.
And Jason.
Hello, my name is Jason Ford. I am a workforce development specialist for Rappahannock Goodwill here in Culpeper. I do a job very similar to Jackie. I help people with their cover letters, resumes, job applications, and help connect them with employers here in our local area.
Great, thank you. We're going to start with a series of questions, and we're going to go about 15 minutes. So we will start with, should your resume have all of your job experience? Jackie, we'll start with you.
I would say it depends on the job that you're applying for. So for instance, if you were a waitress back in high school and you're applying for something similar now, you would want to include that on your resume. So if it's related to the position that you're applying for now, but I wouldn't have everything on your resume, especially if you run off into 2 to 3 pages. Usually a 1-page, 2-page max would be what I would suggest.
I would definitely suggest the same exact thing. You want to be able to tailor your job experience to the job that you're applying for. So kind of stay on the same example of a waitress. If you've been you've been a waitress for say 5 years and you're applying for another customer service experience, put that on there. If that same exact experience could then apply for another job, great, go for it. But if you're going from a waitress to a middle management, non-customer facing position, probably not.
What if that's the only job experience that you have?
If it's the only job experience, and for those of you who are watching and didn't hear the question,
Sorry.
The question was, what happens if that is the only position you've ever had? I would recommend putting it on there because that certainly is going to be your job relevant experience and certainly shows your dedication to the position.
Most definitely, and I agree with both of them. I'll also say that there's never a right or wrong timeline. Usually I would say about 5 to 10 years back. It's about a good staple in the industry of putting on the resume. Specifically, if it is in an industry outside of the one you're looking to get into or the one that you have previous experience in, there's always ways that you can shape what you've done to help navigate you toward what you're looking to get into. Specifically, as a waitress position, if you've done client or customer service in a restaurant, you can then easily translate that into customer service and being able to serve the folks that you need.
What skills are impressive to list on a resume? Jason, we'll start with you this time.
I would say, and I've been kind of on both sides of the coins here, where if you don't have that much experience, putting stuff down like, dedicated to your work, neat and on time, structurally organized are good things to put down. But if you have experience and you've been in an industry, let's say in a receptionist or an office position, definitely putting things like Microsoft PowerPoint or Microsoft Office, QuickBooks, skills like that, where specific programs, you definitely want to include that. And if you also have any certifications or licenses, definitely include those as well.
Again, absolutely. But one thing I would definitely do is make sure that you're tailoring your resume to the skills, not the other way around. So when you're reading your resume and you're reading the job application and the job posting, make sure that those skills that are listed are relevant to what experiences that you had and can be balanced to. If you've never had experience, using Quicken or QuickBooks, you can certainly put down on there, again, if you're a receptionist or a waitress, that you do have money management experience. But if you don't have that, don't try to, or if you're truly uncomfortable with it, don't try to sugarcoat something that it just really isn't there.
I agree with both of them. I think looking at the job description and what skills they're actually looking for, matching what you actually have, obviously not making anything up, like Andrew said, you want to put what's truthful and factual. I would say, not putting things generically either. If you can put skill sets that are tailored to what you're doing or very specific are helpful. I mean, it's nice to see dependable and reliable and shows up on time, but a lot of people say that. And that isn't always necessarily true. So you want to put things that can be specific. I usually like to add a professional summary in addition to the skill set, because that allows you to tailor your resume a little bit better.
When reading a resume, what red flags do recruiters look for?
I'm going to base it off of what I've heard recruiters say and working with employers. Job hopping is one of the biggest things. Not staying at a location very long is one that they can quickly pick up on when they're looking at dates and areas that you've been in and when you're not staying at a place very long.
Some of the biggest red flags that I see, one is first of all, a very generic resume. Is it something that, you just literally cookie cut and copied and pasted from one resume to another for another job posting? Some of the other big red flags that I've seen personally as the hiring manager and as a recruiter have been things like superfluous language. So don't use the words very, don't use any sort of words that try to truly exaggerate a particular skill or experience that you've ever had. That usually says to me that you really haven't had a chance to really read your resume. Are you truly detail oriented? It just makes me quite think about what kind of person you really are if I ask you for an interview.
Likewise, I think one of the ones that I've seen as well, it's very simple, but it can be grammar. If you're writing complete sentences or incomplete sentences, that shows that you've got to either rush through this or someone else has created and you didn't give it a second look over. Complete sentences are very well written in resumes. They're important because it shows that you're able to start the sentence and complete it with one of the tasks that you've done at work. And likewise, what Jackie had said is a lot of jobs in a short amount of time. And as well, on the flip side of that is a large gap in employment, let's say more than about 2 years, can bring up red flags.
Now, just to kind of piggyback on one thing you said was complete sentences. Now, when I've looked at resumes and other applicants, if you are consistent with using one style or another, for me, that's a good thing. So if you're consistently making a statement versus saying, I did this, X, Y, and Z, if you kind of keep bouncing back and forth, that kind of looks to me like you're not really taking care of the actual focus of what you're trying to do, what you're trying to really emphasize as your job experience in the past. Use those complete sentences for your cover letters, for your mission statements, if you so choose to use one.
Moving on to the interviewing process, what should you wear to an interview?
You actually did a great presentation about 2 years back on this. So.
Well, I tailor it to men and women, obviously, but casual, it really depends on what job you're applying for as well. I think if you're going for a landscaping position, you don't need to show up in a three-piece suit. I think that also can deter an employer one way or another, depending on pay and what they're able to offer. So I say tailoring it to the position that you're applying for. So, gentlemen wearing slacks or khakis with a polo button up. And if it's something more professional, obviously go into the suit level. For females, again, I've heard a lot that a female feels like they have to wear heels to an interview. That's not necessary. And watching heel length is important. Wearing flats is appropriate. I always encourage closed-toed shoes though. And then females wearing slacks or khakis or a dress is fine as well.
One of my unsolicited tips is if you're interviewing for a position and it's a job that has a logo, I always match my tie to the color of the logo. Just as and it was something was pointed out in a couple different interviews that I've done in the past that they're like, oh, wow, you're wearing our colors. So it's just a fun little thing that sometimes it just adds to the conversation. When is a good time to discuss pay?
I personally, when I've been doing job interviews with folks, unless I bring up the pay, do not bring up the pay. I usually tried as a professional, just because I appreciated this when I would apply for jobs, is knowing truly what the pay is beforehand. But don't come into a job interview or an application assuming that you're going to get exactly what you're asking for. If you are asking for $12 an hour when it's a $9 an hour job, unless you have some sort of excellent experience, I would probably say don't. But at the same token, let the interviewer bring it up, or let the panel that's doing the interview bring it up before you do it.
And I'll have feedback off of that. That's what I recommend, folks. If it's brought up by the person doing the interview, then it is up for discussion. Another thing is, if you are transitioning from one position to another in the same field, and you're negotiating pay, one of the good things is to have your previous pay as the base starting point.
Should you apply for a job even if you do not meet all of the requirements?
I think that you should, depending on how much of the experience or qualifications that you hit. My experience in working with individuals, I see a lot of females that don't like to apply for jobs unless they meet like 100%, versus my guys will apply for things that they meet like 25%. They're like, I can do that. I think confidence goes a long way, and your ability to learn a position. So I think if you meet the minimum qualifications for a position, you should apply. I mean, worst case scenario, they say no.
I would agree as well. One of the things I like to say, if you're applying for a position that you're not fully qualified for, make sure that, either in your cover letter or in your resume, you are expressing why you're applying for a position like this, whether it is the mission of the company, the location, or what it is about the company that has truly driven you to want to apply for it. Usually it's good to support and fully support the mission of the organization that you're looking to apply to.
I'm on the fence on that. So while I agree with both of what they've said, I'm a little bit more skeptical personally. And maybe it's just my own personal opinion, of jobs that I've applied for or job applicants that I've seen. But one of the big things that you can do is truly, again, read the job posting. And we talked about it at the very beginning, what skills can I branch, what skills can I talk about? And if I get into an interview, what can I truly talk about as a job experience? And if I don't, well, one of the things that you could do, and Culpeper County Library does have it, is there are, and actually every Virginia library has it, is access to a service called Universal Class. And it's a free service. There's over 500 continuing education unit courses that you can take. So if there is something that you need to learn about, between the time that you are looking at the application, to make sure that you do complete it, and this way you can put something on your resume as a skill.
Jackie, I thought of you when I saw this one. Should I disclose that I have a disability on my application?
So the disability question is individual. I work primarily with individuals with disability, and it comes up a lot. The disability question is also different from, can you perform the job with or without accommodation, and the work opportunity tax credit question. So it's an individual decision. If you can perform the position as it is written in the job description, with or without accommodations, then it's truly up to you. As an agency of what we do and what our supports for, you would want to put it on there, because we're not able to come in later and say, oh, you're working and you're always on your feet, now you need a stool. Well, the employer is not obligated to provide a stool because you didn't put that you had a disability and needed an accommodation, or we're not able to come in and provide one for you either. So I really try to advise individuals if they think that they're not able to perform a position like that, or they think maybe down the road I might need an accommodation, that you disclose it. Remember that usually that stuff goes straight to HR. It's not something that the hiring manager is usually going to see or know when they're interviewing you. So that shouldn't affect the decision to hire you.
You need experience to get a job, but you need a job to get experience. What are some ways of navigating that dilemma? For example, say someone's been a stay-at-home mom and hasn't worked a job in years. How do they put that on their resume?
I actually had someone recently who was taking care of a mother for a few years. And she was saying when she was applying to, the employer wanted her to include that on her resume. Because there are plenty of skills that you can gain from taking care of either children or adults. One is patience. Definitely not, maybe not something that's considered a job skill, but it is definitely a soft skill that will make your job easier depending on which position you go to. The skills that come with that are, customer service, client service, politeness, patience again, being able to truly take care of the person and meet their needs when necessary.
Real quick, last question. Through your work and experience, what are some common dilemmas that you have seen that job searchers in our area are facing? Jackie, we'll start with you.
Transportation is a huge one. Background, and not so much that they have a background, but how they disclose their background and when to disclose that they have a background. And I think just presentation, the soft skills portion of understanding when to disclose, circles of trust, those types of things, I think has been a barrier.
My opinion has been internet connectivity, and being able to navigate the different systems. So any chance that you get to, kind of try out using the internet, looking at job application postings, being able to navigate, search through all the different interviewing and job systems, please do.
And I agree with Jackie. It's definitely been transportation. That's been probably the number one barrier that I've seen. Another one that's more difficult to discuss is just discrimination in hiring practices. It's like an undercurrent in hiring practices, but it does exist. One of the big one that I've been experiencing is ageism. A lot of folks who are either close to retirement or have retired or part-time work, and they might go to, let's say, a construction position. And it'll be two people applying, and one will be 22 and one will be about 52 or 62. And the hiring manager will usually pick the younger person. They won't say what their reasoning is, but they just, they can make up the decision on what their reasoning is. But I've had a number of folks come through, so they've applied to another place, had interviews, just hadn't gotten that call back.
During COVID, has childcare been one of the topics of conversation as well?
Yes, and that's been a tricky one because there are also the folks who look after the children who might have children of their own. So it's been a multifaceted issue that's been hard to address under COVID.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for joining. And I would like you all to share with everyone how they can reach you if they have questions or they need help getting resources. Jackie, we'll start with you.
Sure. So if you are interested in services or need assistance finding employment, you can contact us at 540-829-7360. And they'll speak to you, do an intake over the phone, get you set up with a counselor, and through that process, you'll get to work with you.
We always call Culpeper County Library. The phone number there is 540-825-8691. If you'd like to speak with me directly, again, my name is Andrew Nicola. I'd be more than happy to set you up onto a PC, get you understanding some of the different resources, such as Gale presents Peterson's Testing Education Resource Centers, A to Z databases. Both of those offer job searching and resume builders plus career building services, or any of the other resources that we have available at the Culpeper County Library.
Likewise, we are located at 210 East Stevens Street. We are in downtown Culpeper. If you know the National Cemetery is, we are right before the tracks in the parking lot on the left. Our phone number at the office is 540-212-4570. When you call, either ask for Jason or Marty. He is our center director. And yeah, if you have any questions about job search, resume creation, or cover letters, we're here to help, as well as continuing education training as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.